You think the speed of light is just a limit written in books, something students memorize and forget. The fastest thing in existence, case closed. But that kind of thinking isn't understanding, it's surrender. The real question has never been how fast light is. The real question is why nothing can outrun it. What actually breaks when you try. And when you stop repeating slogans and start digging into what reality is doing under the surface, you don't find a weak engine or a lack of fuel. You find something far more disturbing. You discover that the speed of light is not a speed in the normal sense at all. It's the architecture of the universe itself. It's the rule that space and time are forced to obey. And once you see that, the idea of going faster doesn't feel forbidden. It feels meaningless. Let's start with something so basic you've never questioned it. You drop something, it falls. Gravity pulls it down. Simple, predictable. That feeling of certainty is exactly why this story works, because the universe hides its deepest truths inside the most familiar experiences. Now look at the moon. It hangs in the sky night after night, perfectly stable, never crashing into the earth. It looks like it's not falling at all, but that's an illusion. The moon is falling every second. Gravity is pulling it inward constantly. The only reason it never hits the earth is because it's also moving sideways, so as it falls it keeps missing, falling forever without colliding. That's what an orbit really is, not floating, not balanced, just continuous falling combined with sideways motion. That realization shattered the old picture of the universe. Newton understood something radical for his time. The same force pulling apples to the ground must also reach out to the moon. Gravity doesn't stop at the sky. It stretches outward, weakening with distance, fading in a precise and predictable way. When he tested that idea against observation, the numbers didn't just roughly agree. They matched exactly. The moon fell exactly as the law demanded. That moment wasn't just a scientific victory. It was a declaration that the universe follows deep mathematical structure. Once that law was trusted, it became a tool, a lever, a way to pry open reality. Years later, scientists tracked the motion of Jupiter's moons with increasing precision and noticed something unsettling. Their movements didn't line up perfectly with predictions. Sometimes early, sometimes late. At first glance, it looked like the law itself was breaking. But the errors weren't random. They followed a pattern. The moons appeared ahead of schedule when Jupiter was closer to Earth and behind when it was farther away. That pattern forced a terrifying thought. What if the moons weren't wrong at all? What if our assumption was wrong? What if light doesn't arrive instantly? What if what we see is always the past? When Jupiter is farther away, the image we see is older. The delay grows with distance. That insight didn't just reveal the speed of light. It revealed that observation itself is delayed. Reality does not arrive in real time. It arrives at a finite speed. Once the speed of light was known, something even more disturbing emerged. Light always travels at the same speed. Always. It doesn't matter who measures it. It doesn't matter how fast you're moving. You can stand still and measure it. Then you can move forward and measure it again. Common sense says the result should change. In everyday life, speeds add. Throw something forward from a moving platform and it goes faster. But light refuses to behave like anything else. No matter how fast you chase it, it pulls away at the same rate. This isn't a small detail. This is a crack in reality. Because if the speed of light never changes, something else must. Einstein's insight was brutal in its simplicity. The universe does not protect light by changing light. It protects light by changing space and time. Space stretches, time slows, distances compress, not as illusions, not as tricks of measurement, as physical reality. When you move faster through space, time slows down for you. Your clock does not malfunction. Time itself flows differently. The universe reshapes space and time so that the speed of light remains the same. That speed is not arbitrary, it's structural. It's built into the geometry of space-time itself. Now push closer to the edge. Try to accelerate something with mass toward that speed. The resistance, G, grows, not because of friction, not because of inefficiency, but because inertia itself increases. The object fights acceleration harder and harder. As you approach the speed of light, that resistance explodes. To actually reach it would require infinite energy, not impractical energy, impossible energy. That's why nothing with mass can ever reach the speed of light. Not because of an external rule, not because the universe forbids it, but because space-time itself refuses to allow it. Light can move at that speed because light has no mass. It doesn't choose that speed. It's trapped at it. Massless particles don't have the option to slow down. They move at that speed by necessity. The real question shifts. Why is space-time built this way at all? Here is the answer that frustrates everyone. There is no deeper why. The speed of light is not imposed on the universe. It is a consequence of how space-time is structured. Space and time are not separate ingredients. They are woven together into a single fabric. That fabric has a geometry, and that geometry contains a maximum rate at which cause and effect can propagate. That rate is what we call the speed of light. Even if light didn't exist, the limit would still be there. It's not about light, it's about causality. It's about how fast information, influence, and change can move through the universe. You are always moving through space-time. Always. Even when you think you are standing still. If you are not moving through space, all of your motion is through time. You move relentlessly into the future. But when you begin moving through space, that motion doesn't increase, it redistributes. Some of your motion shifts away from time and into space. That's why moving faster through space means aging more slowly. Time itself bends to accommodate motion. If you could move entirely through space at that ultimate speed, there would be no motion left for time. Time would stop. That's why light does not experience time. From the perspective of a photon, emission and absorption occur without duration. No journey, no passage. The universe is frozen. You cannot go faster than light because you cannot go beyond zero time. You cannot have less than none. That is the wall. That is the limit. And this is not philosophy. Reality has tested it again and again. Particles accelerated to extreme speeds behave exactly as predicted. Satellites must correct for time distortion or navigation fails. Particles born high in the atmosphere reach the ground only because time slows for them. Over and over, the universe confirms the same message. The speed of light is not just the fastest thing we have measured. It is the structure of the universe revealing itself. And once you truly absorb that idea, once it settles into your mind, something strange happens. Your intuition about reality starts to break down. Because you realize the universe is not built the way your instincts say it should be. It is not built for comfort or common sense. It is built for consistency, for structure, for rules that don't care how you feel about them. You start to notice that every time humans assumed the universe should behave normally, we were wrong. We assumed time flowed the same for everyone. It doesn't. We assumed distances were absolute. They aren't. We assumed motion simply added together. It doesn't. And every one of those wrong assumptions collapsed the moment the speed of light refused to change. Think about how deeply unsettling that really is. The universe does not allow you to say, I am moving, so light should move faster. Instead, it says, no, if you move, I will change time itself. I will stretch space. I will rewrite the measurements you rely on. Reality bends before the speed of light does. That alone tells you how fundamental this limit is. This is where people usually try to escape the discomfort by turning it into abstraction. They say it's just math, just equations. But that's a mistake. These effects are not mathematical tricks. They are physical. Real clocks slow down. Real rulers shrink. Real particles live longer than they should. The universe is not pretending. It is doing exactly what the structure of space-time demands. And that structure does not negotiate. As objects move faster, their relationship with time changes. Not symbolically, literally. The passage of time itself becomes distorted. A fast-moving object does not experience the same future you do. It ages differently. It carries its own version of time. This is not philosophy, it is measurement, it is experiment, it is reality refusing to conform to human intuition. You might think that if you just kept adding energy, you could overpower this effect, push harder, build a better engine, find a smarter trick. But that's another illusion. Because the closer you get to the speed of light, the more the universe pushes back, not by breaking your machine, but by changing inertia itself. Resistance grows not linearly, but brutally. Each step forward costs more than the last. The final step costs everything. This is why the phrase almost the speed of light exists, and why at the speed of light does not for anything with mass. Mass changes everything. Mass is what ties an object to time. It is what prevents you from escaping duration. Light has no mass, so it has no choice. It does not experience time the way you do. From the moment it is emitted to the moment it is absorbed, no time passes from its perspective. The journey collapses into a single instant. That alone should tell you how alien reality truly is. Now pause and let that sink in. A beam of light crosses the universe. From your perspective, it travels. From its own perspective, it does not. Emission and absorption are the same event. No waiting, no aging, no before or after. That is not poetry, that is physics, and you cannot do better than that. You cannot go faster because faster would require time to run backward or vanish entirely. It would require less than zero duration. And space-time does not allow that. It has a structure, a geometry. And that geometry has boundaries that cannot be crossed without destroying causality itself. Cause must come before effect. If information could travel faster than this limit, the order of events would collapse. Effects could precede causes. Signals could arrive before they were sent. The universe would no longer be coherent. And coherence is something reality refuses to sacrifice. That's the deeper reason the limit exists. Not to slow you down, but to preserve order. The speed of light is not a speed limit in the way a road has one. It is the maximum speed at which the universe can remain logical. It is the fastest rate at which reality can update itself without breaking. Every particle accelerator confirms this. Every satellite system depends on it. Every precise measurement aligns with it. Time dilation is not optional. Length contraction is not hypothetical. They are the price reality pays to keep causality intact. And here's the part that most people miss. You are already moving through space-time at that ultimate rate. Right now. Always. The only difference is how. That motion is divided. If you are still in space, all your motion is through time. If you move through space, some of that motion is diverted away from time. You don't gain speed, you redistribute it. That's why nothing ever exceeds the limit. Because nothing ever changes its total motion through space-time. It only changes direction within it. This means the speed of light is not something special that light does. It is something everything obeys. Light just happens to move entirely through space. You do not. You move mostly through time. And that difference defines everything about your experience of reality. Aging, motion, distance, duration. None of them are absolute. They are negotiated by space-time based on how you move. Once you see that, the universe stops looking like a collection of objects moving around in space. It starts looking like a single structure unfolding in time. Events connected not by distance, but by causality. Not by location, but by order. This is why faster than light travel is not just difficult. It is nonsensical. It is asking reality to abandon its own structure. It is asking cause and effect to untangle themselves. And the universe simply does not do that. You can bend space-time. You can curve it. You can stretch it. Gravity itself is proof of that. Massive objects deform space-time, guiding motion along curved paths. But even that bending respects the limit. Even gravity cannot transmit influence faster than this speed. The universe is flexible but not reckless. And this is the final realization that changes how you see everything. The speed of light is not a wall you might someday break. It is a mirror showing you how the universe is built. It is the boundary between what can happen and what cannot. Between a coherent reality and chaos. Once you understand that, the question stops being how do we go faster? And becomes how did the universe choose such an elegant structure at all? And the honest answer is that we don't know. We know how it works. We know what it does. We know how accurately it governs reality. But why space-time has this geometry, why causality has this limit, why existence itself is arranged this way remains unanswered. And maybe that is the point. Because the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes that the speed of light is not about light at all. It is about time, about order, about the universe protecting its own logic. And in doing so, it reveals something humbling. Reality is not built around us. We are built into it.